Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and thank you for joining me on this glorious Saturday morning. It's Saturday, which means tonight it's the big UFC fight. Two major titles on the line. We got the light heavyweight title on the line. We got the heavyweight title on the line. I'm cheering for Stipe. We'll see what happens in that fight, though. But we are here today to talk about some of our favorite things in the world, and that's movies, a little bit of television, whatever we want to do, and all that kind of stuff. Now, before I get into today's show, I want to remind you guys, I made the announcement yesterday, that starting on Monday, the John Campea Show will be moved to 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 11 a.m. New York or East Coast time. Keep your eyes open for that. And also on Monday is a brand new show, because I'm not going to be taking as many live questions on the John Campea Show anymore. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is starting a new show Monday through Friday at 4 p.m., and I don't have a name for it yet. Pardon me, but that show will just entirely be a live question interaction show, taking questions from both Twitter and from Super Chat. It's going to be like a 1 hour long sports talk radio show. So talking movie news, emails, and a couple of live questions on the John Campea Show, and then just an all live question show at 4 o'clock. So I'm kind of turning this YouTube channel almost into a 24-hour news station, I guess, in some sort of way. So anyway, here's how today's show is going to go, though, guys. I have picked out 4 topics that you guys have emailed into me. Now, how do you get an email topic or question on the John Campea Show? It's really quite simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put that word topic in the subject line, or else I'm not going to see it. And also, guys, as always, keep your emails as short as possible, 90 words or less. So anyway, then, of course, we're going to go to the second half of the show where we take your live questions. But for now, let's get to the first part of the show. And this one starts to us with Vyanktesh Kanungo, who writes, with Avatar sequels being produced consecutively in one schedule and releasing in 2020, 2021, 2024, and 2025, do you think it's a good idea to make 4 sequels? Who knows if people will still be interested in Avatar by 2025? Your thoughts. All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yeah, it is kind of unusual and weird that we've had to wait 73 years for one Avatar sequel. I mean, pardon me, they've announced Avatar sequels, I think, 4 different times, and start dates and potential launch dates for Avatar 2, and they kept getting canceled and canceled and canceled and canceled, and now they are actually shooting the movies now. They're shooting Avatars 2 and 3. Right now, they're shooting Avatars 2 and 3. And we've got release dates for all those sorts of things. But the question that's being asked is, is it wise to plan 4 of them? Like, what happens if Avatar 2 or Avatar 3 comes out and they don't do that well? Then what? Well, here's the thing. About a month or 2 ago, might have been a little bit longer than that, director James Cameron was being interviewed, and that topic came up. Like, what happens? Like, what do you do with Avatars 3 and 4 if 2 and 3 don't do so well? And James Cameron said that, look, if Avatars 2 and 3 don't do well, then there's not going to be an Avatar 4 and 5. He just said it that plain as day. If Avatars 2 and 3 don't do well, then Avatars 4 and 5 simply aren't going to happen. It's just that simple. Now, James Cameron went on to say that if that happens, that's okay, because he said, while there is kind of an underlying meta-narrative that runs throughout all the movies, he did say every single Avatar movie is in and of itself a self-contained movie. So it's okay, because like the first Avatar, it was open for a sequel, but it was a definitive movie in and of itself. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if an Avatar never came out, if an Avatar 2 never came, it's perfectly fine. Avatar stands as its own film. What James Cameron is saying is that every single Avatar movie is going to be like that. That yes, they're all going to be tied together. And yes, the ends of each film will be open-ended, that you could do another one. He said, but the Avatar films are going to be like, number 2 is going to have a cliffhanger, that now you got to come back and watch chapter 3. No, he said. Each film will be its own self-contained story. that will have, that will be tied together in a larger meta-narrative, but not in such a way that it's like Lord of the Rings, where you have to watch parts 1, 2, and 3. You can't just watch part 2. You can't just watch part 1. You have to watch the next chapter because the story didn't get resolved. James Cameron has said that that each film is its own standalone story. So, number 1, if Avatar 2 and 3 don't do well, there's not going to be an Avatar 4 and 5. It doesn't matter that they're planning for it. And then number 2, if that happens, James Cameron says that's okay because each movie is being shot as its own self-contained story that is being tied together by a larger narrative, but it's not essential to keep going if they don't want to. So hopefully that clears that up. I know they're shooting it now and everything, but with all the false starts they've had with this franchise, I have my doubts that this thing is ever going to happen, but whatever. All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. Let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Greg St. Clair, who writes, did you watch the new Rebels trailer, and what did you think? Yes, for those of you who may have missed it, the new trailer for the second half of Season 4 of Rebels, which is going to be the final season, this is it, no more, dropped. And it's kind of funny this question came up. I was just tweeting back and forth with Freddie Prinze Jr., who is, of course, does the voice of Kanan in the show. We were talking about the UFC tonight. It was a totally different subject. But, yes, I did get around to watching that trailer. I thought it was really good. They did the one thing that I don't like in trailers, which is they spend the first half of the trailer, like the entire first half of the trailer is nothing but shots from the previous episodes. It's like, come on, show us new stuff. But anyway, the second half of the trailer gets really good. I liked it. I cannot wait. We now know when the second half of Season 4 is starting. They say it's going to be February 19th, and they're going to launch it with 2 episodes on February 19th, with the final episode being in March, and they said that the final episode is going to be a 90-minute episode. So basically a feature-length film. The series finale is going to be a 90-minute episode. And what's going to happen and all that. Where does Ezra wind up? Where does everybody else wind up? We know Hera makes it out because she's referenced in Rogue One. We know Chopper makes it out because we saw Chopper in Rogue One. We know the Ghost makes it out because we saw the Ghost in Rogue One. But we don't know what happens with Ezra, what happens with Kanan, what happens with Zeb. What happens to everybody else in the show. All the secondary characters and all that kind of stuff. What happens to all of them? Don't know. Now, another piece of interesting news came out about Rebels Season 4, the second half of the season, and that's the Emperor. So, the voice of the Emperor in Rebels has up until this point been done by your friend and mine, Sam Witwer, who is just ridiculously good at Star Wars voices. He's also the voice of Darth Maul in Rebels. So Sam Witwer has been doing the voice of the Emperor in Rebels. However, he won't be doing the voice of the Emperor, according to the reports that I read, for the second half of the season. Apparently, Ian McDiarmid himself is come back to do the voice of the Emperor in the second half of Rebels Season 4. Now, if you're like me, part of you's a little bit bummed that we don't get Sam Witwer back to do the voice of the Emperor because he's done a great job. But I'm telling you right now, I haven't talked to him, but Sam is a major Star Wars fanatic. And the first person who would have been jumping up and down with joy that Ian is coming back to do the voice of Emperor is Sam. Sam, I guarantee you Sam's the first guy doing jumping jacks about this. He loves this news. I guarantee it. And yeah, it is going to be a little bummed out that we're not getting Sam to do the voice of the Emperor in the second half. But I mean, hey, if it's for Ian coming back to do it, no problem. I think we're all pretty excited about that. I think it's going to be great. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how this damn thing's going to end. Because, I have predicted since Season 1, Ezra doesn't make it out of this. I think Ezra dies. I think Kanan dies. I think a lot of them are going to die in the second half of this season. So I'm sticking with that prediction. What do you guys think is going to happen in the final half season of Rebels? Jump into the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. All right, let's move on now to the next question. This one came out of nowhere. All right, so this next question comes to us from Martin Vanderman, who writes, Did you see the trailer yesterday for the new Son of Crocodile Dundee movie with Danny McBride? How is it we never heard of this? Is this even legit? And I remember yesterday, guys, I was sitting around the apartment, had a couple of friends coming over, and then all of a sudden my news feed blows up. I mean, just blows up. And the news, of course, was that the Son of Crocodile Dundee is coming, and there's a trailer for it already. Danny McBride is the Son of Crocodile Dundee. I'm like, what? And then sure enough, I went and I watched the trailer. Like, it's a trailer. It's, oh my God, this is real? How in today's Twitter and social media era, where everybody, I thought I had my phone here, I don't, but where everybody carries around a global communication device in their pocket, also known as their smartphones, how is it even possible that this movie got brought together, let alone shot, let alone have a trailer, and no one's even heard of it up until now? How is this even possible? So, I watched the trailer and it looks legit, seems ridiculous, but the feeling of the trailer, so the idea behind it is, and what's written, there's an official website and everything, dundeemovie.com, you can go check that out. The synopsis for the movie is described, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, Danny McBride plays the Son of Crocodile Dundee, supposedly who is going to be played by Paul Hogan. Apparently Paul Hogan is coming back to reprise his role as Crocodile Dundee. Except Danny McBride was not born in Australia. He was born in the United States. He was born and raised there. He's all-American through and through. And apparently his father, the Aussie legend Crocodile Dundee, has gone missing in the Aussie outback. So the Son of Crocodile Dundee comes to Australia. Crocodile Dundee, the movie, was a fish out of water story where this Aussie guy dropped into the middle of New York. Apparently this is supposed to be a fish out of water the other way around, where this New York kid now dropped in the middle of the Australian outback. So, and so he's now on a hunt to try to find his father. Okay. So that trailer dropped and everything. But then I started to look into it a bit more. Because it never sat right with me that, wait a minute, how does something, especially with a big star like Danny McBride, based on this really beloved and well-known IP in Crocodile Dundee, how did this happen without us hearing about it? Then I paid a little bit closer attention to the trailer. I was like, there's no studio credit. There's no Warner Brothers, Paramount, Disney. There's nothing like that on there. There is no IMDb page. That's a red flag right there. There's no IMDb page, which does not 100% mean anything, but it's a pretty good indicator. There's no IMDb page for it. No director has been mentioned, producer, studio, anything like that. Here's what I've concluded. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a real thing. I've concluded this is all just a hoax. That this is an elaborate hoax, I should say, that is building up to the Super Bowl. And this will be kind of a weird viral marketing thing that is playing into a larger marketing thing that will be dropped at the Super Bowl. Now, I've read around on some other sites and some other pundits that I respect to see what other people think about this. And I'm not the only one who thinks that this is probably just a big hoax. It just seems so unlikely, but who knows? Everything's possible. I'm just going to go on record right now and say I believe this is not a real movie. I don't believe this is real. I believe this is going to be some kind of an elaborate marketing push, viral marketing push for Bud Light or for some Aussie beer that's being brought into the U.S. or something like that. I just don't think it's real. Now, you may say to me, but John, Paul Hogan is quoted in it and all this. I get it. I get it. They've done a great job making it look legit. And maybe we'll find out next week it is legit. But like I said, in a world where nothing can really be kept that secret, the idea that they shot this movie is and it's supposed to come out in the summer of 2018. Really? This movie we've never heard about, has no IMDb page, no studio attached, whatever, is coming out in like 5 months? Really? So I don't know. I just don't buy it, but maybe you do. Maybe you think, no, John, you know what? I think this is legit, and I think this is brilliant marketing. Let me know what you're thinking. Jump down to the comment section and let me know your thoughts. All right. We move on now to the final and probably most ridiculous topic of the week, but this is a real thing. And here it is. This comes to us from A.M. Johnson, who writes, "Did you hear about the controversy surrounding the Wasp's costume in Ant-Man and the Wasp? Personally, I think people are making a bigger deal about it than it needs to be made. I was wondering what you thought, and if you think Marvel will address the controversy. Thanks." All right. For those of you who are like me and hadn't even heard about this controversy until I looked it up, and oh my God, it's a real thing. There are people actually upset about this. Here's the controversy. Take a good look at the Wasp's costume. The costume, as people are claiming, is that her costume, when you pair the literal breastplates with the ab armor that goes down, that if you turn that upside down, it's a penis. That's the controversy here, is that people are saying that this is a penis. Let me see if I can get a larger version of the picture up here. So, hold on a second. Let me see if I can stretch this out a bit and make this a little bit more. Okay, so here's the deal. People are looking at this, and they're saying, oh my gosh, the Wasp's entire midsection is a giant phallic symbol. It's a giant phallic symbol. Dun, dun, dun. And hey, look, I'll admit, when you turn this picture upside down, I don't know if I have the capability of turning this thing upside down. Let me check to see here if I do have the ability to turn this upside down. This is, let me see, do I have a rotation? I do have a rotation. No, wrong rotation. Let me try this again. Wrong rotation again. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's try this. All right. Boom. All right, there it is. Now everybody can see it. Now you're looking at it, and it's a giant erect phallic symbol. And there are some people in the live chat saying you cannot unsee this. There it is. It cannot be unseen. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, look. Here's the thing. Are people wrong to say that, oh my goodness, that kind of looks like a phallic symbol? Are people wrong to say that? No. I'm not going to stick my head in the sand. You're not wrong. If you look at this, it does it, and you ask me, does it resemble some kind of immature phallic symbol? Sure. Yes, it does. I'm not going to deny that. Sure, it does. Was there some kind of Disney conspiracy to subvert and undermine the moral fiber of today's American youth by putting penis in their face? No, I don't believe that for a second. No, no, not at all. Because look, first of all, the whole design of like ab armor, ridged ab armor like that, is not new. We've seen that in other superhero movies, right? And actually, take a look at the Ant-Man's costume. That's not uncertain. The big difference there is that Ant-Man's got a belt cutting off the head, if you will. Ant-Man's got a belt. All right? So there's that. But really, if you wanted to make an issue out of it, if you wanted to try to find something in there, if you looked at Ant-Man's costume, you could say the same thing. Like even Batman, there have been iterations of the Batman outfit that have the ridged, separated body armor from the lats, right? That goes right down the middle there. So it's not terribly unusual. The big difference here is that Wasp has literal breastplates that might make it a little bit more look like, okay, maybe it is, maybe what. But this notion that some people are holding on to, that, oh my goodness, this is totally inappropriate. It's a design. Okay? I can find, if you wanted to, you could find boobs or vaginas or penises or whatever. You could find them in anything you wanted to find them in. See, oh, that coffee cup is a boob symbol. Boob. I mean, you could do that for anything. And again, I'm not going to deny that there's a resemblance there. Of course there is. Sure. Yes. I admit it. But to suggest the notion that some costume designers intentionally made a decision to make a penis shape on her body on purpose, And they're just doing that to put out phallic messages to turn today's youth gay. I don't know. Whatever their crazy tinfoil hat stuff is. There are some people like really upset or like demanding they change this. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break. Yes, if you want to see it, you can see it. I'm not going to deny that. But come on, get over it a little bit. Please, just get over it a little bit. This is no worse than bat nipples. This is no worse than anything else. So, to me, I simply just do not see the issue here. Let me know what you guys think. Jump down to the comments section. Let me know if you guys see an issue here, yay or nay, and let me know your thoughts about that. And I'm sure this is going to come up in the live chat. All right, guys, that will do it for the live questions. We're going to head now into, or that'll do it for the email questions, I should say, in the email movie news topics. It's now time for us to move into the live questions part of the show. But before we get to that, just going to let you know, I'm going to take my daily 1-minute commercial break to plug what I fully admit is a shameless plug, but it's a plug for the thing that makes these shows possible, and that is my Patreon campaign. So do me a favor, sit back, check out this message for 1 minute, and I'll be back in just 60 seconds. For those of you who have followed me for any period of time, you guys know that I made the decision recently to leave the corporate overlords. I no longer wanted to work for corporations. I wanted to be an independent content creator. And the only way I've been able to do that is by the support of my Patreon supporters. So what I would like to do is to ask you guys who watch my shows, who spend any amount of time with me every single month, to consider going over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you'll get all the information about what exactly does it mean to be a Patreon supporter of mine? What does being a Patreon supporter do for helping to make sure that shows like this one and all the other shows I do here on my channel can actually be produced? And on top of that, what benefits are there to being a Patreon supporter? And maybe if you guys can check that out, if you decide you want to be one of my Patreon supporters, that would be awesome. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. I'm just happy that you guys have decided to be here today and be a fellow movie fan and join us in the conversation. So go and check out the website, see if you want to become a Patreon supporter. And now, let's get back. All right, and a special thank you to all of those you guys out there who are already Patreon supporters of mine. Thank you so much. You guys are the heartbeat of this show. You guys make these videos possible. So thank you so much for that. All right. It's time now to go to the live questions. I'm going to let you guys know now that if you have not yet sent in a live question, if you have not yet sent in a super chat, no more super chats. I'm cutting them off now. No more. I will get through all the ones we got here, but no more. Please do not send in any more questions. Let's sit back and enjoy the conversation together. And we start things off today. Where's my first question? My first question today comes to us from Curtis Lopez, who writes, Hulk versus Doomsday, who wins? Well, whoever the author says is more powerful. Any author can go, my character can destroy 18 suns by blinking his eye. Okay, well, there you go. As I understand the characters, I take Hulk. I take Hulk in that fight. I do. All right, Dr. Strangelove writes, hey, dude, I find it interesting that if we indeed get the Obi-Wan movie, we'll have a trilogy of standalones between Lucas's trilogies. Do you think this was the plan all along? No, I really don't. I don't think George himself ever thought outside of the saga kind of sequence per se. I think he always thought, understandably so, I think George always thought in terms of episode 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and on and on and on. And you're right, if we do get this Obi-Wan movie, it is the third film. I wouldn't call it a trilogy, Joe. Just because there are 3 movies does not mean they themselves are a trilogy. So let's be clear about that. But yes, if they do make this Obi-Wan movie, and they make it in the time period that we suspect they will, which would, of course, be in between Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars A New Hope, that would be a third film that happens in that time period. I'm really excited about them making some movies about other shit, to be honest with you. But yes, it would be the third time that they do that. I don't think that necessarily means anything. I don't think they're necessarily connected in any way per se as a trilogy, as a flow-through narrative. But it is interesting. But no, to answer your question, I don't think this was any kind of an overall plan that was hatched 10 years ago. I don't think that was part of a plan. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think so. It's an interesting observation, though, Dr. Strangelove. All right. Next one comes to us from Curtis Lopez, who writes, it still amazes me how the Jurassic World 2 trailer is so unimpressive. How did an awesome and groundbreaking franchise like Jurassic Park go to uninspired and bland storytelling. Well, look, Curtis, I'm not a big fan of the Jurassic World 2 trailer either. But let's not get carried away. It's just a trailer. It's just a trailer. The trailer could have been fantastic and the movie could suck. The movie could be amazing. We're just talking about a trailer. I feel like Allen Iverson. Practice, man. We're talking about practice. It's a trailer, man. We're talking about a trailer. Let's not go lamenting, how does Jurassic Park go to such bland storytelling and uninspired storytelling over a trailer? It's just a trailer. I don't think there's anything here to worry about yet. Did I like the trailer? Nope. I didn't like it. I thought it was a pretty poor trailer, to be honest with you. I thought it was okay. I don't think it was the worst trailer I've seen all year, but I do think it was a poor trailer. But that in no way, shape, or form should make us believe one way or the other that the movie itself has moved into uninspired and boring storytelling. It's just a trailer, man. So buck up, champ. Let's not get too dismayed just yet. I mean, maybe the movie will come out and it will suck. Maybe the movie will come out and will be uninspired and bland storytelling. Maybe it will, but we don't know that from the trailer. It's just a trailer. So don't worry about it. Just chin up. Let's keep our optimism up for now. And let's see what happens as they release more trailers. Maybe we'll get a better picture of what the movie could be. All right, let's move on now. Carlos Camejo writes, have you seen Call Me By Your Name? Your thoughts? Yes, I have seen Call Me By Your Name. I was a little bit late to the party. Admittedly, it's getting a lot of award season buzz. I'll say this. I was not as enamored with Call Me By Your Name as a lot of other people are. I think it's a very good movie. Don't get me wrong. I certainly prefer it over Lady Bird. I think it's a very good movie. It would not be in my top 15 of the year. I think the performances in it are incredible. I think when more people have a chance to see it, they're going to start changing their opinions of Armie Hammer. I've always had a very high opinion of Armie Hammer as an actor. And I think, for whatever reason, a lot of people have not, just because he was in a very bad movie with The Lone Ranger and some other poor choices. But I think when people see him in this, they're going to be really, really impressed with him. And not just him, the cast is fantastic. It really is. But I admit, I do not think the movie is as emotionally moving or as poignant as some people like to think it is. But that's just my opinion. There are a lot of people out there who are dying in love with this movie. And it is a good movie. It's a good movie. If you have not checked it out, I encourage you to check it out. It's just, I wouldn't, other than some of the performances, I wouldn't be giving it so much of the awards buzz that it seems to be getting. But that's just my opinion. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's a very good movie. It is. It's a very good movie. Just, like I said, not in my top 15. ZCMZ Zombie Custom Maps writes, do you think there should be an Oscar category for stunt work? Well, this is a topic that comes up quite often. Look, let's put it this way. Romantically, yes, I would like to see stunt work get an Oscar. Practically, though, I don't know how you do that. Because in an era when you just don't know what is stunt work and what isn't, what was a stuntman, what wasn't a stuntman, what was a real physical person, what wasn't a real physical person, all this kind of stuff. See, when you're watching a film, if you're an Academy member, you can sit down and watch a film and you can see the costume design. You can see the editing. You can see the acting performance. You can see the hair and makeup job that's been done. You can see the visual effects. You can hear the music and you can hear the sound design. With stunt work, how do you do that? I mean, it is a very practical roadblock to how you institute and actually enact a category at the Academy Awards for stunt work, when you can sit there and you can have no idea what's going on. You don't know, was that a stunt? Was that not a stunt? Was that a visual effect? Was that just the actor running up the stairs? Or was that a stuntman doing it? Was that a stunt woman doing that dive off the thing? Or was that just a visual trick? And that there wasn't a stunt woman actually diving off that? Like, from a Academy Awards voters perspective, how do you practically do that? And I simply don't know how. Now, I understand the romantic notion, because I agree with it, that stunt people are an important part of the film industry. They, at times, put their lives on the line. We've seen that happen. A couple of people have lost their lives this year, or within the past calendar year, doing stunt work for film and television. And what they do is important to the business and blah, blah, blah. They should be recognized. I agree. However, put those passions aside for a second, and let's look at the practical business. Well, how do you actually do that? And the answer is, I don't know how you do that. I think everybody wants to recognize and honor the work of stunt work. They should. But in the construct of the Academy Awards, how do you do that? How do you vote on something you have no idea what it is you're looking at and evaluating? Unless you're there on set, you don't have any idea what the scope, large or small, of the stunt work that's being done actually entails. And who is doing the stunt work? You just don't know. And so it is a conundrum. It is a problem. It is a significant roadblock. And I know you're not saying this, but too many people take an overly simplistic approach. Just go, well, no, they just deserve it, so just do it. But you can't say just do it. How do you do it? You explain to me how we do it, because I'm on your side. I want to find a way to honor the profession of stunt work. I do. But in terms of actually making it a category at the Academy Awards, how do you do that? Understanding how the Academy Award system works and how the voting works and how do you do it? I don't know that you can. I'm totally open to suggestions, because I would love to see it happen if they can find a way to practically do it. But that's the problem, is the practical application of that romantic idea of honoring the stunt work. Maybe you don't create an Academy Award for it. Maybe just each year at the Academy Awards, you acknowledge that, hey, there's no way we can do a voted on category for this, because nobody can know who did what. But every year in the Academy Awards, say there's a 3-minute segment, which is a long time for screen time. A full 3 to 4 minute segment honoring people, those people in Hollywood who work in stunt work that makes the big films possible. And maybe do a montage of some of the great stunts that were done that year and honor a bunch of the people's names and stuff like that. Maybe the answer is you don't make a category at the Academy Awards for it, but maybe what you do is you create a segment at the Academy Awards specifically just to honor the people who do stunt work to make our films possible. Maybe that's the answer. So I don't know. It's a big question that's been around for a long time that a lot of people have talked about and debated about. I have not yet seen a real valid, practical way to execute it and make it happen. So maybe the answer is not to do it, but to come up with some other way every year just to honor people who do stunt work in the business. But I don't know. If you got some ideas, I'd love to hear them. Jump in the comment section, let me know. All right, next question comes to us from Michael Anderson, who writes, why do incredibly talented actors choose to be in stinker films? For example, Fassbender in Assassin's Creed or Snowman. Because of this. Everybody thinks their movie is going to be awesome. So many people just don't get this. I get these questions all the time, Michael, from people, why would Sean Connery be in that bad movie? Why would this great actor be in that bad movie? Because they thought the movie would be great. There's a lot of times that a screenplay, you read the screenplay, but it's got to play out in your imagination. It's got to play out in your head. I remember I read the screenplay to Clash of the Titans, the newer one that had Liam Neeson in it, and Sam Worthington. This was long before the movie ever came out, and I got my hands on the script, and I read the script, and I'm going to tell you, I thought the script was awesome. I thought the script read great, and I thought this is going to be a great movie. And then I saw it, and yeah, it was the script, but it just, It played out differently in my imagination than it did on the screen. The point is, like when I get people who ask me, why do studios make bad movies? Why don't they just make good movies? Oh, wow, really? You think? Because every time they make a movie, they think this could be good. This could find an audience. We think this will turn out in such a way that the audiences will like it. And the more people like it, the more money we'll make. Everybody thinks the movie they're getting involved with could be good. Michael Fassbender did not agree to be in Assassin's Creed by looking at the script and say, well, this is shit. This is terrible. Okay, I'll do it anyway. He never thought that. His reps never thought that. They thought, hey, this could be good. But that's why I keep telling people, folks, there's so many people in the film fan community that think making a good movie is just the easiest thing in the world. Making a good movie is one of the most monumentally impossible things for the human race to do. Which makes me all the more appreciative when we do get a really good movie to really appreciate it. Because it ain't easy. I've made movies. I know how difficult it is. Because I understand, look, I'm a film pundit. I've been a film pundit for over a decade. I know, like, as much as a regular film fan, I have an understanding about what makes a good movie and what doesn't. And, like, damn, by Hollywood standards, my movies suck ass. I understand how monumentally difficult it is to make a good movie. And all these guys, when they get involved with it, when a studio greenslights it, when an actor agrees to come on board, when a director pitches their vision, they all think they've got a potentially good film in their hands, but it doesn't always work out that way. Quite often it doesn't. All right. ZCM Zombie Custom Maps writes, thoughts on Ray Harryhausen films, Jason and the Argonauts, Sinbad trilogy. I'd love to see 20 Million Miles to Earth remake. Oh, I mean, you're talking about some of the most groundbreaking, unbelievable films. Look, especially if you go back and watch like Jason and the Argonauts, right? What people don't appreciate today is the visual effects. Now, sure, you could sit back today and watch the original Jason and the Argonauts and think, oh, that looks terrible. Okay, fine. You can say that, fine. You have no idea how groundbreaking that shit was. They didn't have CGI back then. And the types of effects work that they were able to do at that time would have been, I mean, obviously I wasn't alive when it came out, but I mean, that would have been the most epic movie magic anybody had ever seen in their lives at that point. And some of these films that you're mentioning were really at the forefront of that. Being able to take our sense of adventure in movies to a whole new level and whole new things. And I think when you're talking about guys like Ray and stuff like that, I think there are more people need to develop an appreciation for those original films. So if you have a chance, check those movies out. I think you'll be really happy you did. Greg Cybulski writes, what's your favorite DiCaprio performance? Oh, wow. His performance, not his best movie, but his best performances. I think Catch Me If You Can was wonderfully done. Catch Me If You Can, I think, was wonderful. His performance in that, I should say. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? A lot of people still think What's Eating Gilbert Grape is probably DiCaprio's best performance ever. Departed was fantastic. You know what? I'm going to go Departed. I'm going to go either that or Blood Diamond, but I'm going to say Departed. But John, you can say he won his Academy Award for The Revenant, and he was amazing in that. I think I might have even liked his performance in The Departed a little bit more than I liked his performance in The Revenant, even though he won his Academy Award for The Revenant. So I'll go with that. Let's see. ZCMZ Zombie Custom Maps again writes, do you think it's time for a new Odyssey and Iliad movie? Well, if they can come up with a rendition that they think will play well to the audience, sure, why not? You know, I'm all for retelling of classic stories. I'm all for reboots and remakes and new iterations and new takes on classic tales. I'm all for it. The question is not, is it time for it? The question is, does a studio have a rendition of it that they think an audience will connect with? And that's the only question. It's not, is it time for it? That's irrelevant. The real question becomes, do they think they have a version of this story that audiences will connect with? That is the only question. And look, studios are all about making money. If they thought they had something that would make them that money, they would do it. Let's see. ZC writes again, does Sony need production rights for Spider-Man movies to keep up its IP when it helped distribute Homecoming? No. Sony has the rights to Spider-Man. And as long as Marvel keeps helping them make Spider-Man movies, the IP will stay with them. Unless Sony sells off its division or anything like that, the IP stays with them. So, yes, the IP stays with, but Sony doesn't need to have the production rights. They just need to make sure a movie keeps being in production. And therefore, the production and the distribution rights will stay with them. And they, as the rights holder, grant Marvel they allow Marvel to produce a movie with Spider-Man in it, but all those rights, make no mistake, still belong to Sony. There are some people out there who still have this mistaken impression that, oh, half of the Spider-Man movie rights belong to Marvel now. It's like, no, they don't. That's not how the deal worked. Sony and Marvel created a deal where they will allow Spider-Man to appear in those films, but all the rights still belong with Sony. They still call the shots. Micah T writes, hey, John, I know your motto, as long as the person is a good actor, you don't care who gets that role. Absolutely. So in that case, in some crazy alternate dimension, would Robert Downey Jr. have made a good Bruce Wayne Batman? Is Robert Downey Jr. a good actor? Yes. Then could he have been a good Batman? Yes. I mean, it's just that simple. Is Robert Downey Jr. a good actor? Yeah. Well then, yes, he could have been a very good Bruce Wayne Batman. That's all there is to it. That's my philosophy when it comes to stuff like that. Anytime somebody asks me, John, which actor should play this role? My answer is always, I don't care. As long as it's a good, solid actor, then I'm fine with it. Are there some actors whose names could be mentioned that I get more excited than others? Yeah, maybe. But to me, it's all about, are you a good actor? And if they hire a proven talent, a good actor to play that role, then I'm all for it. So anyway, that's just kind of my. So in your question, would Robert Downey Jr. have made a good Batman? Sure. With the right script in the hands of the right director, you get a guy who has as much acting talent as Robert Downey Jr. does. Yes, they would have found a way to make it work. I have very little doubt about that. Michael Anderson writes, love your Yoda poster, by the way. Looks like he's running for office, much like Obama's Yes We Can poster. Actually, that is not a poster behind me. Pardon me. That is not a poster behind me. What that is a painting that a viewer of mine named Robert did. And Robert lives in somewhere around the Boston area. And so when I mentioned that I was in the Boston area at such and such hotel, Robert is a painter. He painted this for me. That Yoda you see right there, that's actually a pretty decent sized painting that Robert painted for me. And he dropped it off at my hotel at the front desk. He didn't do the creepy stalker thing to try to come up to my room. No, he just went to my hotel, left it at the front desk, said, this is for John Campea. And I opened it up, and you can see it. It's a wonderful painting. Just a wonderful painting. I love it. So a special thank you to Robert for doing that painting for me. Let's see. ZC again writes, what sounds worse, a Tetris movie trilogy or a 50 Shades spin-off? Well, since we already know the 50 Shades movies are terrible, and who knows, maybe they make a great Tetris movie. Look, people forget, they made the Lego movie. That sounds like a terrible idea. I mean, yeah, in hindsight, we know the Lego movie is great. But really, you're going to make a movie about these square building blocks? That's what you're making a movie out of? Really? This is a stupid idea. They turned it out great. Same thing could happen with Tetris. Who knows? But we know that 50 Shades sucks. So I will say the 50 Shades spinoff sounds worse to me. Chris Martin writes, with all the live-action Disney films coming up, which one are you most looking forward to? I am very excited about a couple of them. I'm very excited about Aladdin. I love the director. I really like the casting they did. And I just wanted to go see the live Broadway stage show of Aladdin. And it was just a lot of fun. I had a great time with it. But easily, the one I'm most excited about is Lion King. For a couple reasons. Number one, Lion King is my all-time favorite animated film. Number two, Jon Favreau did such an amazing job with Jungle Book. And what he did with Jungle Book was just insane. And now he's bringing that to Lion King. And on top of that, you've got Mufasa. You got James Earl Jones coming back again to do the voice of Mufasa. It's a win-win-win, man. So, yeah, I'm going to go easily. For me, it's going to be Lion King. Charles Harkins writes, no love for Boyd Holbrook in Logan. He was fine. I have no... But, look, here's the thing. He was good. I like Boyd Holbrook in Logan. I liked him more in Logan than I liked him... And I liked him very much in Narcos, but I liked him even more in Logan. But he was good in a movie where you had three other performances that were off the fucking charts. With Hugh Jackman, with Patrick Stewart, and with Daphne Keane. Playing X-23, Professor X, and Wolverine, obviously. Those performances were just off the charts. Now, Boyd was good. He did a very good job. He came in, he played the role, he did a very good job. I would put Boyd in a movie of mine if I was directing it or producing it, absolutely. But let's make no mistake, he got completely overshadowed in that with three out of the stratosphere performances. Three of the best performances we've ever seen in comic book movies. And I still insist that Patrick Stewart should be. He won't. But make no mistake about it. I have seen every awards buzzed performance. There are many great Best Supporting Actor performances this year. Absolutely. But make no mistake, Patrick Stewart deserves that spot. Not because it's a comic book movie, not because of any of this. I'm not even jumping up and down saying that. I'm not saying Hugh Jackman absolutely deserves the Best Lead Actor performance. I'm not saying Daphne Keane deserves the Best Supporting Actor performance. None of that. But I am telling you, Patrick Stewart deserves a nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Logan. He is one of the three best performances this year, let alone top five. So, anyway, sorry, I went off on a little rant there when you were asking me about Boyd Holbrook. Okay, Chris Martin writes, have you seen the film The Hand, starring Michael Caine from 1981? Oliver Stone directed. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I'm a big Michael Caine fan, so I can't imagine I didn't watch it. I would have been 7 years old when it came out. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. John Hyen writes, thoughts on the Florida Project? Stay filthy. Oh, it's great. And you are talking about a guy very much in the running for an Academy Award with that one. I mean, he's look, so many people have been wanting him as the Joker for obvious reasons. I thought he did quite good as Goblin in Spider-Man, to be honest with you. Even a lot of people poo-poo on what he did there, but Willem Dafoe is just great. And it's a nice movie. It's a nice story. For me, it's a little bit like Call Me By Your Name in the sense that I think it's a very good movie, that I think the performances in it were better than the movie itself overall, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, I like it quite a bit. Jay Pinkston writes, do you think Iron Man 3 hate is unfair? It's my favorite MCU movie. No, it's not unfair. People can like or dislike whatever they want. There's nothing fair or unfair about it. And look, I didn't mind Iron Man 3. But, I mean, it's not one of the... in my opinion, it's not one of the stronger MCU movies. I thought they did some really cool stuff with... the PTSD side of Tony. I thought they did some good character work there. I like the twist of the Mandarin and all that kind of stuff, but there are some legitimate complaints that people have, and so, while I don't mind the movie, I don't think it's unfair that other people dislike it, because, I mean, it is what it is. All film is subjective, and some people are going to like it, and some people won't. You are the first person, I'll admit, though, Jay, and good for you. This is a good example of all film being subjective. You're the first person I've come across that has said that, Iron Man 3 is your favorite MCU movie. I've honestly never seen anybody say that. So I'm glad. That just goes to show. Film is subjective, man. Devontae Swing writes, John, Which movie do you think will make more money at the box office? Star Wars Episode 9 or Infinity War? Well, that has already been asked a couple times in the last few days. I think, at this point, I think Infinity War. But you never know. You never know at all. It's so far out. Like, Episode 9 is still 2 years away. We've seen trailers for Infinity War. We have not seen trailers or know anything about Episode 9. So it's really tough to say. Ask me when we're like 3 months away from Episode 9 coming out. For now, my initial guess will be Infinity War. But I may change that as we get closer to Episode 9. Jacob Leaf writes, you've been one of the things that inspired me to change my career. Oh, fantastic, Jacob. I'm going back to school, and it starts Monday. Thank you for everything. You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up, Jacob. Real truth here. I went back to school at 30. It is never a bad time to go back to school. And it is never a bad idea to deepen your resume. It's never a bad idea. You know how I always say it's never a bad idea to add talent to your movie? In life, there's never too late to go back to school. 2, it is never too late to change careers. And 3, it is never a bad idea to do things that deepen your resume, because deepening your resume does nothing but open up some new options to you. And I've changed careers in my life. Absolutely I have. I'm not just talking changing jobs. I've changed careers. And, you know, and one thing has always led me to the next thing, and it's led to a very happy life. So good on you, Jacob. I'm proud of you. I think you can be an example to a lot of people. All right. Spencer Clark writes, favorite players in the NHL right now? I'm a huge Eric Clarkson fan. Well, obviously, being from where I'm from, Matthews is a big thing to me. But my favorite player for a number of years has been Sid the Kid. I mean, Crosby is the man. And yes, he comes from the same home. He comes from the same place I was born, which is Halifax, Nova Scotia. But yeah, so I'll go Matthews, but overall, it's Sidney Crosby. Because I've been a massive Pittsburgh Penguins fan ever since the Mario Lemieux days. Mario Lemieux might be my all-time favorite hockey player, either Mario Lemieux or Mike Bossy from the New York Islanders. But so anyway, Sid came in, played with Mario. That's where I became a fan of Sid's at that point, and we are where we are now. And the Maple Leafs are going to make the playoffs this year. Okay, I believe it. Spencer Clark writes, oh, that was from Spencer Clark. Stig 100-900 writes, thoughts on YouTube's new monetization rules. Well, that has nothing to do with movies or entertainment. And that would take a half-hour conversation. All I'll say is this. I understand that YouTube had to do something to appease the advertisers. Because without the advertisers, there's no advertising money for anybody. And if there are things happening on YouTube that have made advertisers cautious and want to pull back their money, then YouTube's got to do something for themselves and for other YouTubers to try to get the advertisers back on board. And I've heard a lot of people complain, and I understand the complaints. But the only other option is to keep things the way they are and have less and less advertisers coming to YouTube, and therefore less and less money for people who are YouTubers. So, are the new rules convenient? No. But are they understandable? I think yes, they are understandable. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Spencer Smothers writes, thoughts on the new Star Wars Rebel trailer. I mentioned it earlier in the show. I liked it very much. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of using the first half of the trailer to do nothing but show old clips. However, I did like all the new stuff that they had, so I'm really looking forward to it. ZC writes again, favorite Western movie? Oh, man, Unforgiven is certainly up there. I'm a fan. I think, you know what I think is a tragically underrated film? Is 3:10 to Yuma. The one with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. I think that's an underrated one. It's not my favorite, but I think that's a really underrated one. Fistful of Dollars. But I'm going to go Unforgiven. There's just something... Oh, that movie is so visceral. Like, so deeply visceral. I love Unforgiven, so I'm going to go with that one for now. D. Clem1 writes, hey, John, how about the title lights? The title Lights, Camera, Campea for the PM show. Love what you do. I appreciate the suggestion, D. Clem. I don't know that Lights Camera Campea. I don't know if that's a great title. I'm always going to be honest with you, and I appreciate you sending in a suggestion. I don't know that that's... But I don't know. Do you guys like D. Clem's suggestion? Lights, Cameras, Campea? Jump in the comment section. Let me know. Let's see. Devontae Brown, also with a title suggestion, is routing... Sorry, I'm just going to heat up my tea here. Devontae Brown writes... where'd it go? Keeping It Filthy with Campea should be your title. Maybe. Maybe. You know what? Here's an interesting thing. I'm not going to mention names yet because I don't know if he wants his name shared. But an artist, a very good artist, started sending me some concepts for t-shirts. Bring on the filthy and winning cures everything and a few other of my catchphrases and stuff like that. And I was really impressed with them. So who knows? We finally might be getting closer to actually having some John Campea merchandise. And you can bet your ass if we do, Bring on the Filthy is probably going to be the first shirt that we put out. Because Bringing on the Filthy is not just a catchphrase. It's a way of life. Anyway, let's see. ZC is busy today. Have you checked out the new show, Counterpart on Stars? No, I have not. I have not. ZCMZ also then writes again, Bon Jovi in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, your thoughts? I'm all for it. Here's my question, though. I thought I heard that it's just John Bon Jovi getting put into the Hall of Fame. I hope I heard that wrong. Because what kind of career has John Bon Jovi had apart from the band Bon Jovi? I mean, yeah, he was the lead, but, I mean, is there a Bon Jovi without Richie Sambora? Or without, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that. Guys, let me know if you've heard, and yes, guys in the chat board, yes, But John will definitely be a t-shirt too. And maybe Dumblefuck. But have you guys heard anything about that? Because I thought I heard, and I hope that I'm wrong, I thought I heard that it was just John Bon Jovi going into the Hall of Fame, because it really should be the band. Which means John is in the Hall of Fame, but I really think it should be the entire band. So let me know if you guys have heard anything about that, because I thought I heard it was just John, which is unfortunately. Chris Martin writes, fan of Celine Dion. This might surprise you, but yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm a fan of hers. She is one of the most dynamic vocalists, especially in pop culture, that we've ever had in our generation. Celine Dion is a dynamite singer. Absolutely. So yes, I am a fan of Celine. Don't get me wrong. I don't drive around my car listening to Celine Dion tracks, but to not be a fan of hers is silly. She's just like, oh my God, she can sing. So yes, I'm a fan of hers. Let's see. Sam Fisher writes, the chest of Ant-Man and the Wasp uniforms are supposed to look like the heads of their respective insects. I never thought of it that way. That's an interesting point, Sam, actually. That is, I'm going to have, let me bring up the picture again. Oh, no, still just see a dick. So, there's an interesting point, though, Sam. I will keep that in mind. All right. Next question. We just have a couple left here, and we're going to call it a day. This one comes to us from Nathaniel Ryan. And Nathaniel Ryan writes, hey, John. I love the show and watch every day. Well, thank you so much, Nathaniel. I really appreciate that. In simplicity, why don't you like the original Blade Runner? It's fine that you don't. I'm just interested in why. Thanks and keep up the great work. Well, to be honest with you, I just found it slow, kind of boring. I didn't think the philosophical angle to it was as poignant or as insightful as other people do. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad movie. I acknowledge that everybody loves the original Blade Runner. I acknowledge that. So I'm never going to tell people they shouldn't. I'm just got to be honest with you. I could play it cool. Look, I know some other film pundits and film critics who claim publicly they like certain movies that I know they don't. Just because they don't want to I will always be honest with you. So I know it makes me look bad to say I don't like Blade Runner. I know that. I know it is not the cool thing to say that I don't like Blade Runner. I know that. So I wish that I did. But I have to always be honest with you guys. And honestly, I've never liked Blade Runner. I've never liked the original Blade Runner. I actually prefer the sequel. I prefer the new one. But that's just me. Thanks a lot for the question, Nathaniel. All right. Where do we go? Red 8 writes, I hope Dundee is actually a teaser for a new Tropic Thunder movie. See, that's the other thing that went through my mind when I saw that Dundee thing. What's that? Oh, it's Booty Sweat, right? It's just a new Booty Sweat. This is going to be something kind of twisted like that. It's probably a gag for something else, and I think you're onto something there. I think you're right. Gerardo Riaz writes, greetings, John. I hope you're feeling better. And as always, keep up the great work. You really make my workday more tolerable. Thank you so much, Gerardo. I really appreciate that. And I hope that whether you're watching or listening to this show at work, in the gym, on your commute, whatever, I hope I'm able to give you something to help you get through your day as well as you guys make my day better too. So thank you so much, Gerardo. I appreciate that. Let's see. Rico1138 writes, love your show. Keep bringing on the filthy. Thank you so much, Rico. I appreciate that. Pulio Wallace writes, BB-8 is a Mary Sue. BB-8's a Mary Sue. Devastatingly insightful comment there, Pulio's Wallace. Ross Pick Shark Hunter writes, I understand the hate for the DCEU. I don't agree, but I get it. But do you ever think the hate can get annoying? Well, I mean, look. If you don't like a movie, if there's a movie you don't like, let me rephrase. If there's a movie you do like, any movie, it gets annoying hearing people bash on it. But as a film fan, you just have to accept that. Because if you're a film fan and you get to praise a movie, that means if you're a film fan, you get to bash it if you think it didn't work. So, look, I'm a fan of The Last Jedi. I like The Last Jedi. Do I understand that there are people out there who don't like it? Yeah, I do. Does it annoy me a little bit sometimes to constantly hear people bash on it? Yeah. But as a film fan, I have to just accept that because that's part of the reality. The reality is, maybe there are movies that people hate, and it's annoying for them to hear everybody else say great things about it. Well, you just got to deal with that. You just got to suck it up and deal with that and understand that's part of what being a film fan is. Part of being a film fan, a part of understanding that all film is subjective means I'm going to have to hear people bash on movies I love, and I'm going to have to hear people heap praises on movies that I think suck. That's part of it. It's one of the harder parts of it, but that is part of it. So you just got to accept it. That doesn't mean if you think you hear bad arguments against a movie that you shouldn't stand up and try to counterpoint it and debate and all. Yes, absolutely. But you are just going to have to accept that there are people out there who are not going to like the movies you like, and there are people out there who are going to love the movies you hate. It's just part and parcel with being a film fan. So yeah, it can get annoying, but it is what it is. It's part of the deal. All right. And the final question today comes to us from the Jumengo, who writes, Bobby Moynihan said he saw Colin Trevorrow telling let me try that again. Bobby Moynihan said that he saw Colin Trevorrow telling Daisy Ridley what would happen to Rey in 9, and she was sobbing afterwards, visibly moved. Question, if a director/writer is fired, can the studio still use his ideas? Well, anything that a director... Here's the thing. Let's say I get hired to do a Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone movie. Okay, let's say that Warner Brothers hires me to do a Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone movie. Okay. From that moment on, anything I ever come up with regarding Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone belongs to Warner Brothers. So, if Colin Trevorrow was hired by Disney to start working on a Star Wars film, whatever ideas he comes up with at that point, they all belong to Disney. They all belong to Lucasfilm. It's now theirs. You got paid. Just like if you're somebody who builds a chair and I pay you to build that chair for me, that chair's now mine. It's my chair. You built it, but I paid you to build it. I have a contract with you. You built that chair for me. That chair is mine. and you say, well, I wanted to use cedar to build the chair. Okay, so I give you the money to go and buy the cedar. That cedar belongs to me. You're the one building with it and everything, but it belongs to me. So the moment Colin Trevorrow began working with Lucasfilm on Star Wars, anything that he came up with belongs to Lucasfilm, and rightfully so. You're getting paid for it, then anything you come up with for it belongs to them. When I worked for any number of my former employers, I had to sign a deal that said any new show ideas I come up with belongs to my employers. Now, I amended that when I went back for a second go-round with my last employer. I had that amended to having a first look deal. So if I came up with any ideas and any like show ideas, my former employers had first dibs on it. But if they didn't produce it, then I got to take those ideas elsewhere. So I got to make that little bit of a change. But nah, man, as soon as Colin Trevorrow started working with Disney and Lucasfilm, anything he came up with for Star Wars belongs to them. And they can use it even if they fire him. Absolutely. And that is the way it should be. And Jeff Ning, just puts in a super chat. I appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this Saturday edition of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for taking some of your weekend out to join me here in this. This has been a lot of fun. I had a good time today. We'll, of course, be back again tomorrow. A lot of you guys watching the UFC fights know deep down in your heart, actually, me and Dennis Zen, we're going to go into Hollywood tonight. Dennis and I have got one of our favorite spots in Hollywood that we like to go and watch UFC fights, and we haven't been there in a while, so we're going to go into Hollywood tonight and watch the big UFC fights tonight. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, guys, have a great weekend. Hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow. Don't forget, guys, Monday again, the change of time and all that kind of stuff. Put the word out. And by all means, if you have some ideas about names for the for my new all live question show that's going to be in the later afternoons / early evenings, do me a favor, email me. Don't put the word topic in the subject line, though. Ignore that bottom part. Just email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com and give me your show ideas if you've got some ideas for the name of my show. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.